In this video we're going to look at this massive crash that we saw in the overall crypto market. And yes guys, if you woke up to your portfolio being extremely down because Bitcoin saw this major dump all the way back down to the range low of 91,000 US dollars, yes, exactly 91,200 US dollars, you might be shocked and you might panic sell exactly here, but let me tell you, this is exactly what all the major players want you to sell exactly in this fearful moment. And yes guys, a lot of people might think that this is going to be the end and that the cycle top is here and that Bitcoin is just the major bubble. We're going to find out exactly what is a bubble. We're going to look at the price movement and what you should be doing at the moment, because once again guys, like I posted over on X, this is business as usual. Because if we're going to look at the 2017 bull run, which I'm comparing the bull run we are in at the moment, we are seeing exactly the same scenario. Because if you don't have the dedication to hold during these major dumps towards downside, you don't deserve the major profits that we're going to make at the end of this bull cycle. Because yes, patience is going to be the key and you're not going to outpace the market. And a lot of people said that if you bought Bitcoin at $1, you were lucky. No, you were not lucky, because if you would have bought exactly all the way down here at the levels of round about $1, you saw that the price went all the way up to $31 and came all the way back down during this major run towards upside, the first cycle exactly here. And yes guys, it is business as usual. And yes, I'm comparing the bull cycle we are in at the moment with the 2017 bull run, because exactly within this time frame and in this bull cycle 2017, we saw a lot of adoption. We saw that more crypto people entered the space and major whales were accumulating exactly during this major accumulation phases, selling at a major high, manipulating the price movement down and reaccumulating exactly within this accumulation phases. And yes, in the 2017 bull run, we saw that the price movement of Bitcoin had these 38 to 40% corrections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before we reach the new all-time high. And if we're going to compare the time frame, we are exactly here, exactly within this accumulation phases, and we could expect during this next bull cycle that we're going to see that the price movement of Bitcoin is going to see these retracements along the way. But ultimately guys, now it's not the time to panic or to sell or to try to outpace the market, to expect that the price movement of Bitcoin is going to reach lower numbers, maybe even the 80,000, or I even heard about price targets all the way to the 60,000 US dollars. Guys, this is not going to happen, because once again, this is a major accumulation, redistribution and manipulation zones where major institutions, corporations, nations, states, pension funds, or even central banks are accumulating Bitcoin. And we're going to look at all of these facts, why these major corporations and institutions need the price movement to dump to buy huge amounts of Bitcoin exactly within these levels, where all the weak hands are going to sell to all these major corporations, where they're going to accumulate. So the only thing that you can do is sit on your hands, watch the video until the end to be profitable during this next major bull market, because we're going to look at all of these factors, why Bitcoin isn't a bubble and why we could expect this major run towards the upside, and that the monetary system is about to explode. Yes, Bitcoin is about to take over, and this is going to be your last chance to enter the crypto market before this final stage of the bull market, because ultimately guys, my end of the bull market target is still going to remain in between the levels of 250 all the way to the levels of 350,000 US dollars for Bitcoin. And yes, the altcoin market looks extremely crushed, but guys, this is just once again an opportunity to buy all these lows on all these major projects, because ultimately guys, we're going to find out what we could expect in the immediate short term and to the end of this bull cycle. Because yes guys, history doesn't repeat but it rhymes, and I do believe we're going to see this massive move towards the upside exactly as we saw in the cycle 2017, and we're just about to break out from this major consolidation phase. So if you want to find out more, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button and subscribe, and welcome back to B4Crypto. Yes, the overall market saw a major dump towards the downside all the way to the 91,000 200 US dollars. But ultimately guys, I do believe that this retracement is about to happen and that we could expect the price movement of Bitcoin to come back above the 100,000 US dollars. But why did we see this dump in first place? And yes, maybe this could be driven by news from Donald Trump and the tariffs, but ultimately guys, I don't focus too much on news. This is just going to be once again a major manipulation zone where all these major corporations, states, central banks, pension funds, nations, they're going to accumulate. Because what do they need to buy the scarcest asset in the world? Yes, they need a lot of selling pressure. All the weak hands that bought at 100,000 US dollars, they're going to sell exactly here because they're trying to outpace the market, sell in a loss of around about 10% to reaccumulate exactly in these levels. Guys, this is not going to happen because these major institutions need all of these weak hands, all of these selling pressure to buy these huge amounts of Bitcoin. Yes guys, they're shaking out all the weak hands, and this is a shakeout or a bear trap before we could expect this major next move towards the upside. And yes guys, I've been telling you in the previous consolidation phase that lasted over 7 months exactly here in the year 2024 that I told you that maximum pain is not going to be a major dump all the way to the 40,000 US dollars. No, it is going to be a slow sideways consolidation where all these major players are going to accumulate Bitcoin, because in the year 2017 these were major Bitcoin maxis and major whales that were accumulating and redistributing Bitcoin to accumulate even more. And now we are seeing even larger whales, yes, major corporations like BlackRock entering the crypto space, and they want to accumulate even more Bitcoin, and they need a lot of selling pressure because Bitcoin is the scarcest asset. And yes guys, they will accumulate at these fearful moments where all the weak hands are getting flushed out of the market. So don't be a weak hand and hold on to your crypto. And yes, the altcoin market saw a major dump towards the downside, but once again guys, yes, if Bitcoin dumps 10%, these altcoins are going to dump 20, 30 or even 40%. But in the long term perspective guys, we need this major volatility to make these major gains. If we could expect that Solana is going to come all the way up to the levels of 1,000 to even 3,000 US dollars, this is going to be a 10x. Yes, 1,000% towards the upside. So what is the small correction of 20% if we're going to see these major gains? Because you came into the crypto space to profit from this major volatility towards the upside. But if you want to have these major gains towards the upside, yes guys, you must expect the volatility also towards the downside and hold on to your cryptocurrencies. The only thing that you can do is either accumulate or sit on your hands, because yes guys, you're not going to outpace the market. Because yes, I could expect that the price movement of Bitcoin is going to see a fast recovery. We can see we came all the way back down to the range low, and yes, during this last time I told you that this is going to be my worst case, and I will still remain the same, that this is going to be my worst case for Bitcoin and the overall crypto market, and that we're going to see an explosive fast move towards the upside because all these major players, they have been accumulating. But guys, a lot of people might say, if you bought Bitcoin at $1, you had luck. No, you didn't have luck, you were holding on to something extremely scarce. Because yes, even if you bought Bitcoin at $1 and you had luck, you saw that the price movement of Bitcoin from the year 2011 went all the way up to the levels of 1,133. This means you made a profit of 123,000%. So yes, does it have anything to do with luck? If you saw your investment go up and then all the way back down again, and you just would have held all the way to the levels where we are now, where you would have been a billionaire investing into crypto. Guys, it is all about patience. And even during this major time period, yes guys, we saw that Bitcoin has died 477 times. Bitcoin has been declared dead so many times, guys. And a lot of people said that Bitcoin is a bubble. Let's go all the way back down to the levels of 2014, or even way back to the levels of 2013, where everybody said Bitcoin will crash to zero. One thing you can bank on, Bitcoin's currency is doomed. Or even in this article, where Bitcoin was at the price level of $912, Bitcoin falls as a currency and the bubble will eventually pop. We're going to first of all find out what is a bubble and what we could expect. But ultimately guys, watch the video until the end, because we're going to look at Solana and we're also going to look at some trades that we just opened in my free signal group. So ultimately guys, if you want to profit on these next major moves towards the upside, because now you have the opportunity to either buy low on all of these coins or to open a trade exactly at the bottom before we could expect this next move towards the upside. And yes guys, you can trade all of these moves on BloFin or even on Phemex, where you receive a major deposit bonus, and if you sign up with my exclusive link and send me your UID, you get access to my free signal group. So yes guys, let's go first of all over and find out what is a bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, bubbles have three characteristics. They tend to be a single cycle boom, then bust, relatively short in duration, and crash back down to the baseline, which is either zero or the inflation-adjusted place of where they were before the boom. The Dutch tulip mania was like this. So was the housing bubble. So was the dot-com bubble. And so was pretty much every other bubble ever. So what about Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is actually hard to see the price cycles because it's increased such radically in value over time. So we're going to use a logarithmic scale to look at what it looks like on a price cycle where you go from $0 to $1, then to $10, $100. It's called the logarithmic scale, which is often used for assets with this level of upside. So in the first price cycle, Bitcoin went from about 5 cents up to $32, back to $2. Now, if we were having this debate in 2011, you could be for.
And then some people say you're lucky if you bought Bitcoin under $1. Guys, just imagine you would have bought Bitcoin at 5 cents and it went all the way up to $32. You would have been in some major profits. And who's not going to sell after such a major push towards the upside? Because yes, you even saw that Bitcoin went down from $32 all the way back to $2. And yes guys, this is nothing compared to the small consolidation or the small blip that we are in at the moment. But let's carry on.
Forgiven for believing it met 2 of the 3 criteria of a bubble, except that it landed at a price that was 40 times as high as the 5 cents that it started at. What happened next? It didn't go to 0, it went up to $1,200, came back to 92, meeting now none of the criteria of a bubble. Then what did it do? Well, it zoomed up to $19,000, down to $3,200, meeting, once again, none of the criteria of a bubble, 35 times the previous low price.
And this was exactly the 2017 bull run, where we saw all of these accumulation phases and this 40% corrections during this bull market. And why guys? Yes, in the beginning stages of Bitcoin, only a few people were invested into Bitcoin. In 2016, 17, and also the peak where Bitcoin came all the way to 20,000 US dollars, we saw an adoption of Bitcoin, more people entering the crypto market. That's why we saw this exponential growth. And this is also what I expect, because in the 2017 bull cycle, these were major whales, major private entities holding huge amounts of Bitcoin. And now we're seeing that nations, states, governments, central banks, or even pension funds are entering the crypto market. That's why I could expect we're going to see the same parabolic move and this major swing towards the upside, maybe even to $500,000 for Bitcoin. But let's carry on.
Then it zoomed up to $69,000, down to $15,000, once again meeting none of the criteria of any historical bubble we have ever seen. Bubbles look like the bottom left of this chart. They do not look like the orange line. So what does look like that orange line? Well, it turns out every high-value asset that has ever become a trillion-dollar industry or asset looks just like that on a logarithmic chart. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, even gold, when you zoom out, goes through the same pattern. And all of these assets do it for the same reason. The marketplace is trying to figure out how big of a deal is this asset, how big of a deal is this industry, and what role will this commodity, technology, or company impact in the global world.
So this means that Bitcoin is still in price discovery mode, because only now we are seeing that major corporations, BlackRock, the biggest asset manager, and even states in the United States, or even the Bitcoin strategic reserve are planned. And a lot of countries have already approved a Bitcoin strategic reserve, so this is bullish, and this would mean that Bitcoin is in the early stages like Amazon in the year 2029, where we could expect that from this institutional adoption for Bitcoin, we could expect that the price movement is just going to go up, and that this 4-year cycles are going to be history. Yes guys, maybe they're going to repeat with the bear markets, but I think the bear markets are not going to be that explosive. Yes guys, we could expect these corrections like in in the year 2017 just to get rid of all these weak hands and small investors, because they're going to panic sell to all these major corporations who exactly know what time it is and that Bitcoin is not a bubble. It is going to be the money of the future and a reserve asset.
Bitcoin's doing the same thing for the very same reason, which is the opposite of how any bubble in human history has ever behaved. So why is it valuable? Well, for the first time in human history, we have a borderless, predictable, and scarce monetary asset. So what do I mean? Borderless because Bitcoin is decentralized. It's not controlled by any country, company, or anybody. And that means Bitcoin is not like fiat currencies, which is nothing but a bunch of fiefdoms all over the world.
Yes guys, this is going to be important, and I'm also going to leave the link in the video description below, because this video really is mind-blowing. But we're going to skip to the end, because yes, this is one of the reasons why you should accumulate Bitcoin. And not only Bitcoin, we're also talking about altcoins with real-world assets. Yes, the tokenization of real-world assets and AI are going to play a major role. We are seeing the adoption of crypto, not only Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just our leading indicator and the overall currency that you want to hold, but if you want to make some major profits, altcoins is the place to be, where we could expect a 10 or even 20 or even 30x during this major adoption phase of Bitcoin. Because one thing is clear guys, and we're going to skip to the end.
The breakthrough of Bitcoin is digital scarcity. We've never before had something that was digital that you couldn't copy paste and make an unlimited amount of. The fact that we need a monetary system that is digital, because things like gold don't move across space and time and borders fast enough and efficiently enough to be a monetary system for the world. And we found that from the past, which is why gold got taken away, for example. So the breakthrough of blockchain technology, which is specific to Bitcoin, is digital scarcity, the ability to have a digital money that you can send anywhere in the world at any time with no ability for anybody to block it or censor it. That is a massive breakthrough that people have been working on for decades, and nobody figured it out until the invention of Bitcoin. As far as spending Bitcoin directly, again, use a Coinbase debit card. The value is using a currency that the government doesn't print more of and therefore is not in a constant state of losing value. Like, how insane is it that we have a currency that is supposed to lose 2% of its value every year and generally loses 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%? They print 6 to 7% more money every single year. Like, it's insane that we're expected to use that as money. That's insane. Bitcoin fixes that.
Yes guys, and inflation is even worse. You're actually losing round about 30% of your purchasing power if you're going to hold money in your bank account and also hold fiat currencies. And yes, this is exactly the reason why you shouldn't be shaken out of the market, because these are just major entities. They're going to load up the boat because they know exactly what time it is, and if they want to buy the scarcest asset on the world, which is limited to only 21 million, they need to bring the boat back to accumulate these major quantities of Bitcoin exactly within these levels, because all these weak hands are going to sell to all these major corporations and institutions that are going to hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, and they're not going to hold Bitcoin just for a few days. So if you would have bought the top exactly here at round about 106,000 US dollars, you just would have held for 2 months, and you're saying that the people got lucky who bought Bitcoin at $1 after seeing Bitcoin die from the mainstream media so many times. Even if you saw that the price movement of Bitcoin went from $32 all the way up to $1,000, then came all the way back down. Guys, it is all about patience and knowing exactly what you're going to do, because this is going to be important. Even if you bought the top, a lot of people are going to try to outpace the market. If you would have bought at 100,000 US dollars, they're going to sell exactly here, where there's the most amount of fear, because they expect that the price movement is going to crash and that this is a double top, the cycle is over, and they want to accumulate exactly here, round about the 80,000 US dollars. But do you really think that all of these people that sold exactly here, even if the price movement sees a major dump towards the downside, guys, they're not going to buy at this fearful moments if the price movement is going to move this fast? If they would have sold exactly here, and guess where they're going to enter? Yes, they're going to rebuy. If they sold at 90,000 US dollars, they're going to get the conviction all the way up here when Bitcoin is close to the 114,000. So yes, they made 10% loss, and they even bought another 10% higher. So ultimately guys, you're not going to outpace the market, and if you bought the top on all of these altcoins, either sit on your hands or dollar cost average into these major projects, because overall guys, I do expect that we're going to see the same scenario as in the year 2017, that we're going to see this prolonged, aggressive, parabolic bull run towards the upside. And yes guys, we're going to look at Solana, and once again, a few weeks ago I told you that this is going to be the bottom. Mark my words, yes, the price movement came all the way back down, but once again I'm going to say that if the price movement breaks this level towards the downside, which is possible, that this is going to be a fast move, and that this is going to be our candle close back above the $180, and that we're going to see this fast move, which is once again going to come extremely unexpected. And if you always want to stay up to date what is happening in the immediate short term, because once and for all guys, it is not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. Make sure to be subscribed to B for Crypto, smash up the like button, and if you want to copy all of my trades, because we're going to reckon some major profits on this next move towards the upside, we're going to buy the lows and sell high, because yes, I'm even in a trade on Radium over on Phemex. So if you want to trade all of these moves, sign up to Phemex, join my free Telegram group, and join my free Signal group to get all of these entries exactly at the range low, because this is not going to be the end, this is just going to be the beginning. And all these major whales, institutions, nations, or even central banks, they're just going to shake out all of these weak hands. And yes, like Warren Buffett says, if there's fear on the street, this usually is the best time to invest. And I do believe that Bitcoin is going to reach a cycle top at the end of the year, October to November, round about the price levels of $350. And yes guys, I do expect that Solana is going to reach the price target of 1,000, or even in a major bullish case with a major crypto adoption, all the way at 3,000 US dollars. This is still going to be an easy 10x. So make sure to be for crypto, smash up the like button, and we see each other in the next video.